Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covered today will be in the sport of football inside the college football world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my college football semifinal game summaries of the two games that took place in the semifinals last week in the college football playoffs. So, you've seen Notre Dame defeat Penn State by a score of 27-24 in the Orange Bowl to punch their ticket to the national championship game. Now, this was a classic game between Notre Dame and Penn State in the Orange Bowl, back and forth action, pure classic football game that really picked up the tempo in the second half of the game. Other than that Texas versus Arizona State game that went into double overtime on New Year's Day, I think this Notre Dame and Penn State game was the best game in college football playoffs other than that Texas Arizona State game. But Notre Dame didn't even play their best in this game. They trailed by a score of 10-3 heading into the second half. And one of the reasons why they did win this game was due to the production that their dual threat quarterback Riley Leonard left on the field. He didn't play his best, but it was good enough to help Notre Dame get past Penn State to punch their ticket to the national championship game. Notre Dame has played with so much grit and determination, and Marcus Freeman, their head coach, deserves a lot of credit for the job and the building the foundation that he's done since taking over this job when Brian Kelly left for LSU. But Penn State played good enough to win this game. I mean, they ran the ball for 204 rushing yards as a team. It just came down to that crucial interception that quarterback Drew Aller threw, which led to Notre Dame kicking a game-winning field goal to punch their ticket to the national championship game against Ohio State. So I felt so bad for Penn State watching this game. And my pick was Notre Dame on last week's episode. But damn, I'm like, Penn State played so good. And this was their time to finally put it together with the roster that they had. But they just came up short when it mattered most. And Notre Dame, man, if I were to tell you that this Notre Dame team back in September, when they lost to Northern Illinois in September, if I told you that this team would go 14-1, win three playoff games, and get one game away from winning a national title after losing to Northern Illinois in the beginning of the year, I would have said you're delusional, you're crazy. But that's what this Notre Dame team has done. They showed up in the big moments. They played well. I mean, they had big wins over Indiana in the playoffs, Georgia, now Penn State. They're riding a wave of momentum heading into the national championship game. And Marcus Freeman, again, should be proud of the work and the foundation that he's laid to this Notre Dame football team in the matter of 3 years that he's been at the head coaching position. So definitely, I'm proud of what Notre Dame has done. And last but not least, Ohio State defeated Texas by a score of 28-14 in the Cotton Bowl. Now, I will say this was a really solid game between Ohio State and Texas. I thought it would have been a better game, overall game, but I thought it was solid at best. I give Texas secondary a lot of credit because I did say heading into the game that I didn't think that their secondary, even though they're one of the best secondaries in the country, was going to be able to slow down Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka out there at the wide receiver positions, but they did it, especially holding Jeremiah Smith, the best wide receiver in the country, to one catch for 3 yards. That was crazy. But other playmakers for Ohio State stepped up, like running back Quinshon Judkins, who had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Jack Sawyer had the play of the game. I mean, he had the strip sack fumble that turned into a scoop and score on his former college roommate and Quinn Ewers when Quinn Ewers was with Ohio State. Did that, sealed the game for Ohio State to punch their ticket to the national championship game. To me, it just felt like Texas could have won this game. When you take out Ohio State's best wide receivers, and Emeka Egbuka had around 50 yards receiving, but Jeremiah Smith only having 3 yards in the entire game. When you take out the 2 best pass catchers in the game, you still can't capitalize to win the game. I'm just like, damn, Texas, how many more chances are you going to get with talented rosters not living up to the big-time moments? And they failed to do that against Ohio State, with basically having the home field advantage playing in Jerry's World in Dallas, Texas on Friday night. So I'm going to say this. Based off of what I've seen, I think Quinn Ewers could benefit from another year playing in college football. Now, I know he went through the injuries throughout the college football season, and he wasn't 100% healthy at times. But if you take away the injuries and you look at the production that he gave you on the field this year, how can you not say he didn't regress? And yes, you could box stat watch, you could box score watch all you want. Sometimes the numbers look good, but if you actually watch the games and go back and watch the film and the tape, Quinn Ewers is regressing from the quarterback that he looked like a year ago in college football. So, and I could tell he's starting to have trouble reading defenses. When you have a national championship team all around at so many different positions, Texas had that, and they had their best chance to win a national title in years, but they just didn't have a national championship quarterback to get them to the dance, to bring it all the way home from them. And look, Quinn Ewers struggled twice against Georgia, especially in that SEC championship game where Gunnar Stockton, outplayed him in the second half of that game, and failed against Ohio State when they were only down by a touchdown in the red zone when he needed to put up points to at least give Texas a chance to go into overtime at best. So I think Arch Manning's going to take over for this team next year, regardless if Quinn Ewers wants to commit back to college football or not. I think Quinn Ewers should he's going to go to the NFL draft, but I think he could benefit from playing another year in college football. Look at the quarterbacks like Jayden Daniels, who is having one of the best rookie seasons that we've seen in NFL history. He played 55-plus games in college football. Bo Nix, in his time in college football, played 60-plus games in college football. So sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to play more games in college football. Sometimes it's better to get those more reps. Plus, what are you losing nowadays with another year of education when you have the NIL deals that you're getting paid millions to play the game of football before you even get to the NFL? But all jokes aside, I think Quinn Ewers should halt the brakes of going to the NFL draft. I think he could benefit from playing another year in college, hitting the transfer portal. There's schools that's going to need quarterbacks like Alabama. He could benefit possibly transferring there. Possibly going to Notre Dame. They're going to need a quarterback as well after this season. Possibly going back to Ohio State. They're going to need a quarterback after this year because all three of those guys that I just mentioned, all three of those programs I just mentioned, Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, and Will Howard are all most likely going to declare for the NFL draft. Jalen Milroe already did. So I think Quinn Ewers could benefit from playing another year in college football. But back to Ohio State here, I think that Michigan loss gave them the spark that they needed. They steamrolled Tennessee, steamrolled Oregon, the best team in the playoffs, and now you just beat Texas by 2 scores. I don't see how it's going to be very hard for Notre Dame to go in there and beat this Ohio State team heading into the college football the championship based off who they beat, how they beaten them, how dominant they looked in so many different circumstances. So that is my college football semi-playoff summary. And that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.